So it is our great pleasure and delight to welcome to be with us this afternoon, especially because you are all very welcome, Cecilia McDowall. Before we sing her Crucifixus Reimagined, she's going to tell us a little bit about her work and how she approaches composition. So please welcome Cecilia. Thank you for being with us. Perhaps we could start with how you decide, I've been talking about texts, how you decide about the text that you want to say.
Thank you. Right, well, in the case of the one that you're about to hear, Crucifixus Reimagined, it was a very straightforward process. As Martin has already mentioned, Sonoro came here with their conductor Neil Ferris and did workshops. And Neil Ferris, who conducts the BBC Symphony Chorus and also Wimbledon Choral Society, said to me, would I consider doing one of these pieces like the two other lovely ones you just heard? And he gave me a list of them, and nobody else had had a chance to have a go at them. And when he mentioned Lottie, it's one of my favourite pieces, I said, yes, I would like to do that one. So that process was very straightforward. But sometimes when I'm commissioned to write a piece, it can be anything from you choose the words, or here are some words that somebody has written. And in one instance, and this was a few years ago, the Liberal Jewish Synagogue in London commissioned me to write a piece to celebrate their centenary in 2005. And when I went to meet the board, or the people who were commissioning the work, they asked me, did I have any questions? And I said, yes. Why have you asked me to write it? Because I know absolutely nothing about the Jewish liturgy. And they were very, very sweet about it. And they said, it's because we trust you. And I thought, good heavens, what does that mean? And as I was writing the piece, I began to realize exactly what they meant, which was, I knew nothing. I had to ask questions about everything, about where the stresses are, how you pronounce the words, absolutely everything. And so in the end, when I handed over the commission to the Liberal Jewish Synagogue Committee, they said, this is just the piece we wanted. And of course, I realized that's because they knew I would have to ask everything about it. So each commission and the choice of words is very different every time.
Thank you for that insight. Now, I know we'd agreed, because you always agree these things in advance, we were going to say a little bit about your Da Vinci Requiem, and I think possibly that comes in here, because that's an unusual title. Perhaps you can tell us a little about that piece.
Going back again to the conductor of Sonoro, Neil Ferris, in 2019 he commissioned a work from me to celebrate Da Vinci's, I can't remember, 400th anniversary or 500th anniversary, 1519, my maths is not good. And he didn't actually ask for the Da Vinci text, but I thought when you write a requiem, it has to have something a little bit different now. And I happen to have in the family the notebooks of Leonardo da Vinci, which had always been there, and I was fascinated by the pictures in there, not by the philosophy, because at that stage I couldn't read, but I managed to find philosophy from Leonardo da Vinci which matched somehow each part of the Requiem, including the Lux Aeterna, because you probably know he had this idea of perspective, the perspective of disappearance. And in the very last movement of this, I have in the orchestra 2 violins playing right at the end that just go up and disappear, so you don't hear anything right at the end where they are so high. At the first performance in 2019 in the Royal Festival Hall, when this was performed, the Lux Eterna was the last piece in the whole concert, and as these two violins were playing their very, very quiet, disappearing sound, the Mayor of Wimbledon took ill, and she was marched out of the hall, thump, 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 down the steps, and when she got to the door, the violins finished and the doors closed. It was as though it had been choreographed.
Thank you. We hope that doesn't happen at the end of Duruflé's Requiem. Could you tell us a little bit about the reimagining aspect of Crucifixus Reimagined?
Thank you. I think Lottie did several crucifixes, and all for different voice combinations. It's one thing, you know, when you say, I would like to have the Lottie to work with, and then it's once one starts to work with it, you realise it's such a wonderful piece of music. What am I doing messing around with it? So it was an interesting experience trying to find things, elements in it that I could use and exploit without actually causing any damage, I think, to the original. And one of the things that I did take was the idea of the layers of, you'll hear them, the layers of the voices coming in imitation. So you hear first the second basses, the first basses, the second tenors, first tenors, and it piles up on top of each other. There was another element in the Lottie which I think is exquisite, which is the overlaying of sopranos that act as, they work in suspensions with each other. So in this I have tried to create something that has that kind of, well, I used the word miasma earlier, but some kind of blurring of sound across the top.
Thank you, that's very helpful. Just one last question. Eagle eyes, or those who look forward to always to the next CBS concert, may have noticed that we're going to sing at Christmas, A Winter's Night, one of Cecilia's Christmas pieces. So can you just give us a quick preview of what we might expect?
Yes, A Winter's Night, I always find myself calling it A Winter's Tale. Anyway, it's A Winter's Night is a series of five carols that I especially love, which I have put together in a continuous format. So it opens with In Dulce Jubilo and it closes with on Sussex, oh gosh, what's it called? Sussex Carol there. And the reason I think I chose the Sussex Carol is because it's one of, I think it's Paul Williams has something to do with that, doesn't he? So it was originally for brass quintet and percussion and organ, but it's very often performed with organ. So, and it's quite uplifting.
Thank you. Well, thank you for speaking with us, Cecilia. And again, it's great to have you with us, and we hope you're still here when we finish your piece.